Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Antoinette Simons Conley with Valero Title, and today I'm going to be talking to you all about the 1 to 4 family contract as it affects title. Thank you, Ms. Patricia. I appreciate you asking me to speak regarding the contract. So first things first, I'm going to go over just a few highlights that are most important for title and why we adhere to those. So I'll go through the contract periodically, and I will explain to you what items I'm speaking of. So first page obviously is section 1, your parties that are in title and also the parties that are purchasing. The parties that are in title are always going to be the person that is vested in title. That can be found on any county appraisal district. We want that person's name, not the person that you may have talked to or the child or anyone like that. If it's a deceased parent, it's the estate of, okay? And then we'll do our part in trying to figure out how to clear those items or to get that person out of title and add your new party in. Your buyer is going to be obviously the person buying the property. And just so you know, section 2, the land improvements or accessories collectively referred as to, we operate by the legal description. Always, always, always. Yes, I know there is a physical address for the property, but legally we use the lot, block, and subdivision to do this. So that's most important. That section completed is very important for title companies. Yes, we want the physical address as well, but we only search by the legal description. The county is most important because you can have a 123 Jackson Drive in Dallas. You can have a 123 Jackson Drive in Collin County. We want to make sure that we're searching the right county. We're also going to pull any deeds, liens, abstracts of judgment for that land, that piece of land, that lot and block. So even though it may not be for your seller or your seller or buyer, we are going to pull that, okay? So that's most important. Obviously, earnest money. You always want to put your earnest money in the title company that you're turning it into. We all know we have relationships with specific escrow officers, but it's most important that you put the title company. When it goes to their order department, they are going to know who the escrow officer is. Or if they don't, you can just send a quick little email with a contract stating, hey, I want this to go to so-and-so, preferably Antoinette Simons at Valero Title. But that's most important. If you have an option for additional earnest money, please, please, please make sure that portion is filled in. It may be something that comes up after the inspection or as a part of the inspection. Title policy. You want to make sure that your title policy section matches your earnest money delivery section. Please make sure those two go together because that's who's going to write your policy for your owners and your lending company. If you are getting a loan, we need to make sure that we include the third-party financing addendum. That's most important because all addendums need to be turned in with the 1 to 4 family contract. And we're just talking about 1 to 4 families today and little things that we find on there that are inconsistent sometimes. We need to make sure that the initials are all signed, always, on every page. Just because those get missed sometimes, I'll go over the survey coverage and the survey deletion coverage as well. So survey deletion coverage is everything that we don't see on the survey, which includes protrusions and encroachments and things like that. That survey coverage is 1% of the owner's title policy. Sorry, 5% of the owner's title policy. So if your owner's title policy, let's say, is $1,500, then it'll be 5% of that $1,500. That coverage is with your owner's title policy, not the lender's title policy. Always remember, the buyer is going to pay the lender's title policy. If you negotiate where the seller pays the owners, this option here in section 6, number 9, 8 and 9 will be negotiated as well, okay? So your survey, we all know we want the sellers to provide the survey. Always, we're hoping for that so we don't have that fee. But what we want to do is make sure that we are notating the contract correctly. Negotiate, negotiate, negotiate. If the seller thinks that they have a survey, which most of us do as sellers, typically they will put in their date in survey section number 1. 5 days, 7 days, whatever. So what we're going to do is, if that's checked, the seller needs to provide it to the title company, okay? If they don't, they are still responsible for turning it in or getting a new one. Now, if they have one and it's rejected by the title company, then that's where those two boxes in that paragraph come into play. Is the seller paying for it or the buyer paying for it? If it's rejected only. The seller's responsible if they don't turn it in. The negotiation part is if we have one and it's rejected. And then the buyer or seller will need to pay for one. And on the other two, section 2 and section 3. Objections. Please make sure you're adhering to that. We have 20 days to get the commitment out to you all. A lot of people don't know that. You get it back pretty fast most of the time. But if there's objections in here, your buyer has the right to object within that time frame. If they don't, we just proceed. Okay? And then your initials at the bottom. Section property is as is. Acceptance and conditions. We want to make sure that you're checking that. Check that. We won't adhere to that, but if there's anything that's left or anything that they need to provide, you need to make sure that that's done before closing. If it's supposed to be cleaned, you don't sign until it's cleaned. It's something you agree to. If it's sold as is, perfect. Page number 5, which is your home warranty, closing date, and possession and special provisions. So home warranty, we want to make sure that we have a good number in there that's going to be beneficial to your buyer. We'll order the home warranty for you. You're more than welcome to, but just let us know who you use and we'll reach out to them. Closing date, that is on or before that date. So if your lender is ready 5 days before the date listed on the contract, we make it happen. We make sure every party is agreed to that and we can make that happen. Listing agent, selling agent, you guys just need to talk about that. Possession. If you are taking possession upon the property at closing and funding, that means after the lender has given us a funding number and we are dispersing. That's when possession takes place. Temporary lease, we do not collect rent, deposits, or anything like that. That'll be the responsibility of the seller, bringing it to closing, and we just hand it to you. That's it. Special provisions. Special provisions, let us know what's going on. If you're giving a credit to somebody, let us know. If the seller agrees to pay all closing costs, let us know. We'll just make sure that it's taken care of on the CD. Anytime anything is written in here and it's affecting figures, we need to know because the lender is going to make sure that we have it in there, okay? We don't want that to be the reason we hold up closing or hold up the approval of the CD. Page number 7, my favorite one, notices. So we all know that notices are to be delivered to all parties, but if we don't have addresses for parties, how do we deliver them? Your contract is incomplete if we don't have an address, phone number, or email. If you don't want to put your customer's information on the contract, don't. But put yours or put your broker's address. Put something in there where we can communicate. I prefer the broker's address, a good phone number for the buyer or seller, and their email address associated with the agent's email address. It just makes it easy for everybody. We know in this day and time people are kind of weird. We pray about it though. Just make sure that that's there because we have to communicate and your contract is incomplete. Agreements and parties. Agreement of parties. So if you have any type of addendum that needs to go along with the contract, turn it in with the contract. If you're getting a loan, turn it in the third party financing addendum. If the property is in an HOA, we want to make sure that that HOA addendum is in and a part of the contract and complete it. Please put a phone number on there. Please put the HOA's phone number on there. It's hard to find HOAs nowadays. If you've done the lead-based paint, include it. All that information needs to be in there. If there's a temporary lease, put that in there. We will adhere to that, but we won't take care of it for you, and I will not turn the contract in. Section number 23 of page 8 is going to be your option period and your option fee. Please don't turn an option fee to the title company. We don't accept option fee. I know some of you think, oh, we'll get it to the other agent. It's truly your responsibility to do that, and we don't want to be responsible. We don't want to be responsible for stuff like that. just because now it's our liability when it should be yours. And we want to make sure if your buyer is getting credit for that option fee. If it's not signed off, we won't give credit on the CD. Sorry. And sometimes it comes down to $100. So we need to make sure those things happen. Fully execute your contract. Make sure it's signed and dated the day it was executed. Typically you guys work that out, and that's always done. So thank y'all for doing that. And then your broker information. Please make sure this is completed. If you guys represent the same brokerage, you truly don't have to fill this side out. You can fill out just the if you're looking at it, it's on the right side. But make sure you fill that information out. It makes it easier for us to send checks, wires, things like that. And then your percentage. So typically we know that the buyer's agent gets 3%, typically, because it's 3% in here. But listing agent, let us know how much you're receiving if it's not the typical 3%. That's something we need to know. And also your receipted page. So when we get your contract, we're going to receipt the contract portion in. If the earnest money isn't delivered with the contract and you use an app or Zocom or something like that to deliver the earnest money, we're only going to receipt the earnest money portion when we receive it. If both are turning at the same time, you'll have 2 of those completed at the same time. If you have additional earnest money, obviously we'll complete that. But your option fee, again, if the option fee isn't received by the seller and we don't have this signed off, we are not going to give credit for it. Whether you mailed it or not, we have to have a receipt. So it's truly responsible for you to stay in touch with your listing agent. I thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, you can reach me at aconley@valerotitle.com. My number is 214-436-8550. Most of you know Miss Patricia. Love her. She knows all of my personal information if you need to get in touch with me after hours. Thank y'all so much. Have a great Saturday.